Hi, and welcome to the Golden Hour, the Horizon League's content series around all things Horizon League. And why the Golden Hour? Well, of course, the Golden Hour plays off the Horizon League's name. The Horizon, of course, the meeting of the Earth and the Sun, which compares to the student and the athlete. We bring you the biggest stories here in the Horizon League all year long. We're kind of beginning year 2 of the Golden Hour, and why not start with the commissioner as part of a new kind of sub-series within the Golden Hour, which we'll call the Commissioner's Corner. So Julie Roe Lach, our commissioner, great to have you.
Always good to be on the Golden Hour, Sean. And you do a great job, by the way, of explaining our horizon within our age. Nice work.
Yeah, thank you for the pointer, of course. And I am Sean Sullivan, one of our associate commissioners, and glad to be with you again. And, you know, we wanted to kick this off because the Golden Hour, of course, has taken on a bit of its own history in the first year. We're adding a layer to it because, you know, we want our brand, the league, our 11, soon to be 12 institutions to be at least included in the conversation of what's going on nationally. I think there's this piece when we look at media, when we consume it, whether it's online, whether it's in print, which is, of course, not as prominent, social media, wherever we are consuming the media, a lot of the oxygen around what's happening in college sports is taken up by the power leagues. And, you know, there's so much going on at our level where we're advocating and telling the stories of the Horizon League. That's what this is going to do, hopefully, is have you more regularly. So a couple times a month, we're going to be on video as part of the Commissioner's Corner.
Right.
A couple times a week, hopefully. I don't want to lead. You're a busy woman, so I don't know if I can pin a date, but in writing, online, on LinkedIn is where we're going to try and launch this. So
I'll commit.
Yeah. So what do you, I mean, you're around this often, back rooms, meetings, association-wide. Why bring those things to the forefront from our perspective?
Well, you know, I think we need to cover ourselves a bit. And to your point, there's a lot of grab for that oxygen. And I think what we see, especially, I mean, I was just on some campuses last week. I'm traveling next week to more campuses. There's some great stories to tell. We have a lot of exciting initiatives going on in the Horizon League. And we are definitely operating at the national level. We're operating on the international level here in Indy whenever we are part of hosting big events. And we need to tell that story. I do have one quick question.
Sure.
Do I need to actually be in a corner since this is the Commissioner's Corner, or are we just making...
Ooh, it's a great question. We'll have to ask the budget people.
All right,
here
okay.
at the
I don't know,
Horizon
you know,
League.
too literal here, sorry.
You know, we did show up in the same, speaking of branding, we showed up in the same shirt today without
did.
planning.
That's right.
But our Major Cities Horizon League shirt, courtesy of the Shop Indy, you should check them out. Hit the merch button at horizonleague.com. But
So, yeah, by the way, not planned. We both showed up in the office this morning with this. At least we aren't wearing same jackets. But just a little drill down. So this shirt is the Indianapolis flag,
Right.
with then, of course, our logo in the middle of it.
yeah, it's the major cities coming through in apparel, which is
That's right.
nice. All right, so you noted storytelling in campus. You know, one of the other things that our colleague Bridget Nash and you have discussed is really going to campus and recording some discussions with our athletes that maybe we'll save the name of it, but let's just say it's alliteration with the letter C and coffee. Tell me about your excitement level of chatting with some athletes this year.
Well, I one of the best parts, I think, of being in a conference office is being able to go to our campuses and, one, just visit with our administrators, our presidents, our coaches, and then most importantly, spend time with our student athletes. So as Bridget, who I think is really in tune with our SAC and our student athlete group, and I were talking, we thought, what better way to do that than when I am on campuses, and I think I'm going to hit 4 or 5 this month alone, why not spend some time with student athletes drinking one of my favorite beverages and highlighting a really cool space in one of our major cities, because all of our campuses are in such great locations. So we really want it to be unedited.
Yeah.
So that's part of my commitment, and very open-ended. So I really don't want to limit or guide the questions. I want our student athletes to be able to talk to me about what's on their mind and post me up. You can tell I'm an old basketball player, but post me up with the hard questions they want to ask.
Great. Well, we look forward to viewing that. And kind of around that, of course, you talked about having those conversations. I guess I would tell our audience, who could be our staff, could be our athletes on campuses, the administrators, whoever might be working with our student athletes, if you have questions for the commissioner, whether it relates to a campus issue, a league scenario, or a national concept, send them our way. ssullivan@horizonleague.org will work. You can also find us on the staff directory at horizonleague.com. So let's segue. We've had a busy summer. There are no such things in college athletics as slow summers anymore, perhaps 20 years ago,
Right.
but not anymore. Several things are going on in the Horizon League that you play a major role in with our staff and some other stakeholders around the league. Media rights, championships here in Indianapolis, when we think about basketball specifically. I know you've been out and about. You've visited some campuses. Can you share a little bit of a status update on maybe media rights and the championships in Indianapolis on the basketball side?
Sure. So we do. We have some important and I think innovative negotiations underway. So ESPN has been such a long time, fantastic media rights partner for us. Our current contract ends at the end of this upcoming year, so in June of 26. So naturally, that window's open, and we're having some really substantive, thoughtful conversations. We're exploring a lot of different issues relative to our agreement in terms of looking at our basketball championship dates, but more importantly, the number of games on ESPN Plus, linear windows, just things that really matter, because at the end of the day, we're trying to drive exposure for our student athletes in our campuses. So with that as really the guiding principles, conversations are going well. I would note we've got a media advisory team. So we have a president, some athletics directors, SWA, FAR, and a student athlete who are helping be that necessary sounding board to our staff as those conversations continue to unfold. But it's going well. I'm excited about the direction we're heading.
Good. Well, I'm excited to see how that unfurls, of course. The Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships have been in Indy for many years now.
Yeah.
We've got another year at the Corteva Coliseum over on the Indiana State Fairgrounds and Events Center. But we have to find what the next iteration of the basketball championships look like in Indy. We know they're going to be here in the Circle City. Can you share kind of how that status is going in terms of the process?
Yeah, that also, so to your point, no rest for the weary here. So a lot is happening this summer. I would note, so we've been at Corteva now 6 seasons, and we are scheduled to be there, of course, in 2026. Cindy Hoy and her team at the Indiana State Fair Commission, just the absolute best partners. And by the way, the Indiana Fair is going for anyone in the locale right now. I think nearly 1 million people will visit the fair. I drove by the fair this morning, and there was a lot of activity already happening early as people were staking their ground, I guess. But at any rate, we've got some new venues online here in the city that have expressed interest. So we're in some pretty serious talks and significant talks with multiple venues, including our great partner at the Coliseum. But I'm interested in where that will unfold. And once again, we've got an advisory group of our membership with the same different cast of characters, but same positional representation. So our campuses are really involved in these important conversations.
That's an interesting point. You've brought up the last 2 topics, right? Is that input from league stakeholders. Can you maybe just give a quick drill down as we talk about governance and like how, it's not like you're sitting up in a corner office to take the corner topic back, but
Right.
Saying, here's what we're doing. Right, we get all this input from our council, our board, and some other folks, student athletes included.
Yeah, I think it happens formally and informally. Formally, it happens through our governance structure. Of course, we've got meetings. We meet in person a couple times a year, and then we meet regularly monthly. We've got some big video conferences tomorrow with the council and our board. And frankly, we make sure we're aligned on these strategic priorities. And then when we're out to campus, we check in with, are those still the priorities? And then obviously we've got the formal piece on these important initiatives where we actually form advisory groups so that we can get that feedback in real time as negotiations are underway. But to me, we're working for and with our members. And then obviously we've got a lead in areas where we've got the expertise and they're looking for us to give that recommendation and get it over the finish line.
The result will be a major experience, no question.
That's right.
To close the loop on the fair, I am excited. My oldest son went yesterday, had a blast. I plan to go with the rest of the family here in the next few days, and shake-ups for everyone. Lemon shake-ups, the non-alcohol version for the younger kids.
Yeah.
But for my wife and I, we're definitely going to get a
Spiked.
shake-up from our friends at Shake Up, who do a great job, and were a sponsor of ours at the Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships last year, so that'll be a lot of fun.
Nice inclusion there.
Yeah. Major move.
That's right.
Okay, so maybe pivoting to major impact a little bit, we try to strategically align with organizations, people, community organizations who are doing good. Certainly one of those is our friend Debbie Antonelli, the award-winning and Hall of Fame broadcaster, who's become a friend of ours. Can you share a little bit about Nothing But Net and maybe where that's headed?
Sure, and even thank you, because you're the one that brought Debbie to the Horizon League. So she was a part of our media day, content day last fall with our basketball coaches and student athletes who I think just loved the chalk talk, locker room talk with her. And then she did some podcasting covering our league throughout the season. Well, as I got to know her personally, I learned about her story. She's got 3 sons, one of whom has Down syndrome, and she's been really open that Special Olympics transformed his life. And so because of that, she's become a major fundraiser for Special Olympics of Indiana. She said the one thing she can do really well is shoot a free throw. And so she committed to shooting 100 free throws every hour for 24 hours, essentially her own free throw marathon. I think she is it 4 years strong now? It might be more than that.
Yeah.
But she's raised over $1 million shooting free throws in her driveway, which is really inspiring. So we brought her to our summer meeting and met with our SAC, our SWAs, our FARs, so they could learn about this, because our dream is, how do we take what she's doing and scale it across our 6-state, soon to be 7-state footprint, and our 10 cities, since we have 2 in Detroit, soon to be 11 with Chicago coming on board. And any money that our student athletes would raise would stay right in those communities with the Special Olympics of the state or of the city. So I'm excited about that. We are still in the dream phase. We got some really good feedback and buy-in from our campus administrators and student athlete leaders at our summer meetings. So now it's, okay, what is it that we're going to actually do, and start to roll it out?
Yeah, we're going to help Debbie and Nothing But Net get the $2 million raised. I know that is going to be a fun project to work on.
Let's go.
With our league partners. Okay, to close the loop on the summer, you have played a role in the WNBA All-Star coming to Indianapolis, which is pretty neat. You've traveled with Women's Leaders and Patty Phillips and their great group that they do in terms of sports development, and then Indiana Sports Corp, board chair in that with that organization. Maybe just a quick overview of takeaways, memories, things that maybe you and your family did together around those, and then all of those kind of lead into major cities, which is one of our major pillars. How did that go? How was it fun?
Is probably one of the most fun professional weekends I've had in a while, outside of course, our Horizon League championship.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about the WNBA All-Star. I mean, Indy was on fire. Mel Raines, CEO of the Pacers and the Fever, went out and raised with our board, but really Mel was the force behind this, nearly $8 million. It might be more than that, so sorry, Mel, if I'm underselling it. And her commitment was, we're not going to spend a penny less on the WNBA All-Star than we spent on the NBA All-Star when we were fortunate enough to host it in 2024. And you were here, you saw it. I mean, it was a complete takeover of the downtown area. The role I got to play was essentially, we created the first ever, and we hope it becomes an annual event tied to All-Star Boss Experience, where we brought in C-suite executives, owners of women's sports teams, national storytellers, and chief marketing officers to have a really curated leadership experience, and then really see Indy at its best in what we hope to become the capital of women's sports. And that was, it was fun, but it was also, I think, worthwhile, because some of these people who are really moving the needle internationally in women's sports were able to see what Indy can do when private, public, passionate volunteers all come to the table.
Yeah, that was pretty neat.
And my 12-year-old did get to 10. You asked about family. The 15-year-old was off on her own basketball tournament. I told her she should have skipped it and stayed here. But the 12-year-old said that was the time of her life.
Yeah, what a special weekend. Women's Leaders, any strong takeaways from your time with that group?
Well, they brought in, so this is a Women Leaders. It's no longer called Next, but it used to be that, where essentially you've got C-suite executives from pro teams, Division I ADs, and Division I commissioners, women coming together for a couple days, part leadership, part, frankly, recharge. But this year they brought in the global president of Deloitte, and they brought in the CEO of Forbes. And what I heard from the media landscape, from the Forbes CEO and then Deloitte with just the huge analytics AI, is everyone is going through extraordinary change. I know we talk about this accelerated pace a lot in college sports, and it's tough some days to really figure out how do we keep up, so to speak, and manage in a thoughtful way. Hearing these extraordinary women leaders speak of major companies, how they are sorting through change and really trying to lead from a place of values and ethics and compassion while also getting things done. I always leave there recharged, and I came back. I think hopefully you guys, our team saw that, but I came back ready to go. We had our staff retreat my first day back in office from that experience, so it was a good timing for me in terms of let's get after it, and how can we really lead our members.
Yeah, we're actually not even here. This is AI. So it's pretty neat. We're really
experimenting.
We're on the cusp of cutting edge. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for sharing that. We're kind of pivoting into the future a little bit, and part of that is a membership update with Northern Illinois coming to the Horizon League. I know you visited there recently. Mm-hmm. Speaking of energy, I'm sure that was energetic for you. Yeah,
it was terrific. I was actually on my way to the Women Leaders event. I stopped by Northern Illinois' campus and was able to have lunch with their athletics director, Sean Fraser, who is now president of NACDA. So he certainly has a full plate.
It's a major move.
It's a major move. And then also his deputy in SWA, Courtney, who's just fantastic and oversees basketball. So we had they're excited. I mean, as we experience with new members, and they have a long on-ramp. Sometimes when we've had membership changes, it happens in a matter of months. The decision for them to join us happened in a matter of months, but now we've got a little bit of hurry up and wait with their entry delayed until the fall of 26. And we talked about that and how do we start to integrate them. So they're going to be attending some of our meetings so that they're in the know of the media rights of the basketball championship. And more importantly, it's about relationships, and their energy is really high.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Looking forward to being closer to my hometown a little bit up there near DeKalb. Okay, we've got fall practices already underway, which is hard to believe as the calendar has just turned to August. There are so many student athletes already putting in the time and the effort. I'm sure they worked hard over the summer, but now they're in official practices. You've got our staffs on campuses, support staffs, athletic trainers. You got compliance and academic advisors getting into the work, our senior staffs. What's your message to all of them? Think about presidents, chancellors, all that they have on their plate, ADs. What's your message?
Well, you don't even know this. So yesterday I had a chance to see my college coach, and I was at Millikan University all 4 years, and I had the same coach all 4 years, which is pretty rare these days. Yeah. We're still very close. And it's interesting because when I see her, I drop back into coach. I call her coach. Mm-hmm. She calls me Jules. I still feel like I'm waiting for her to tell me to go run a mile or something. But it speaks to how transformational the college sports are and what a gift it is, whatever level you're playing, wherever you're playing, whether it's for 1 year, 2 years, or as fortunate as I was, 4 years. It was the ultimate leadership lab for me, which is why I believe so strongly in these opportunities. Had I not been able to play college sports, I definitely would not have the career I have today. But more importantly, I don't think I would be the mom I am to our 2 daughters and be able to lead in our community the way I do. So the opportunities, I think our staff and more importantly, our campuses and our coaches and our administrators are providing for our student athletes are just awesome. So my advice would be take advantage of the moment. It is a little bit like the country song, Don't Blink, because it does go by fast, but boy, embrace every moment you can.
Terrific. Good message. Julie Roe Lach, the commissioner of the Horizon League, on our Golden Hour and Commissioner's Corner, our debut episode of that sub-series here on the Golden Hour. And we want to remind you, you can take a look at all things Horizon League on our social channels by following us at Horizon League or visiting horizonleague.com, the official website of the HL. There, you can get merch, cool merch like these. Check it out, horizonleague.com.
Are you hungry? Cluster Truck is Indy's go-to delivery and pickup kitchen. With always free delivery and over 100 menu items, there is something to satisfy everyone's craving. Hand-stretched pizzas, pad thai, tacos, salads, wraps, burritos, and more delivered directly to your curb. Delivering to Fountain Square, downtown Indy, Carmel, Castleton, Broad Ripple, Fishers, and more. Use code HLRadio at checkout to receive $5 off your next order of $20 or more. Order now at clustertruck.com.